So what do they call you?
They call me Little Ronnie.
Little Ronnie, what are you incarcerated for, sir, and how long is your sentence?
30 years murder robbery.
Where are you from out here on the streets?
I'm from Richmond, Coco County.
Do you or did you at any time point in your life belong to any type of gangs, groups, organizations, or anything like that, sir?
Yes, I did.
Do you mind stipulating what you were associated with, sir?
The AB, Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. Yeah, my earliest memory
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
in my home, drug use, violence in the home, neglect, moving around constantly. Just me and my sisters, man, depending on each other. We didn't have a structure in our family to help us navigate the world that we were going to grow up into. I wasn't hugged as a young child and assured that everything was going to be all right and there weren't no monsters under my bed at night. If I stepped out of line, I got beaten. That's how my life was. I played, before the sixth grade, I was in 3 different schools. I couldn't sit still, couldn't do my work. Nowadays, they've been able to figure out I probably had some sort of attention deficit disorder. I was a smart kid, right? The work was no problem. I just couldn't focus on it. I was just constantly grab-assing. Yeah, I was constantly just sort of grab-assing and unable to focus. Like I said, had there been anybody watchful or concerned about what it is I was going through day to day, they probably would have understood that I wasn't able to do it. And like I said, that sort of issue had taken me before the sixth grade. I had been through 4 different schools. Okay, and I had to stay back. I repeated the 3rd grade again. What frustrated the teachers and administration at every school is that I was smart. I knew what I was doing. I just wouldn't do it. My refuge was sports: baseball, football, skateboarding, basketball. But I was a lonely kid. Your parents introduce you to this world and how to navigate it, how to make friends, how to hold friends, how to socialize. Children should be taught how to socialize properly, and I wasn't given that. At the earliest age, I learned that violence was how problems were solved. And going through my life, that's how I solved every problem. And I still struggle with it to this day.
Ronnie, I must ask, when did you start falling into this belief system, into the white power movement and pushing this agenda?
Well, that would have had to have been in my CYA years. I grew up in sort of a multicultural city because I'm from Richmond, California, right? And that's not just brimming with white power movement, right? But I sort of learned the racial awareness during my CYA years, right? Because every other group stood in opposition to us. It was a force of necessity rather than a true belief system, right? This us versus them came from the literal position of us versus them. There's very few whites and a lot of other races, right? And I just wasn't going to be pushed around. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to be any of that. So when I fought back and I pushed back hard. If you push me, I push you down. If you knock me down, I put you down for good.
At what age were you when you picked up this case, sir?
I was in my 20s. And this case that I'm finishing up, this is my third prison term. The first prison term is possession of an explosive device as a grenade. My second prison term is for possession for sales, transportation for sales, dating, torch. And then this term for murder and robbery. And I was in my mid-20s, maybe 25, 26 maybe, when I committed the crime for this third term.
Would you be able to enlighten us on what was it that happened, Ronnie? How did you pick up this life term?
It was senseless.
What was going on in your
senseless.
life? What was going on in your life? How did you find yourself even there? Who was the victim? What was your relationship with them?
I was on the streets. My grind was robbing. That's what I did. I lived for motherfuckers that were out of pocket, and I robbed them. It was just that simple, right? I wasn't going to be begging on those streets. If I wanted good shit, I went out and got it. And if somebody was in front of me, they were in the way. And that's how I, ever since I was a youngster, that's how I did it. I didn't have a family that was going to give me a bunch of good stuff. I went out and got it myself. I've been on my own since I was 14 years old. And I protected myself. I built my reputation myself. I didn't have a bunch of homeboys like a lot of these guys even back my play. I had to stand my ground myself. Okay, I backed my own play. I've been shot 6 times. I'm a firm believer. Anybody that tells you out there their grind is violent and they ain't been hurt their damn self, then they're lying. These people don't just lay down and get robbed. They fight back if they can.
How old was the victim? Was he another Caucasian male?
He was with my homeboy's dad. In my case, man, it was senseless, man. It was arguing over money. I lost my temper and shot him. And he started screaming, man. I pistol whipped him and killed him instantly. It was just senseless, man. And I paid for it. See, that's the thing, man. When you talk to, at least, I'm at a point in my life where I've had sort of a spiritual awakening, right? And I've had to reintroduce myself to me and understand what I'm leaving in this world when I'm gone, right? And what I have left in this world. And it was senseless, man. It was just senseless. I was, and that's what, every bit of violence I've put on people in my life, and there's been a lot of it, hasn't, at one way or another, it's senseless, man. It's just senseless to wake up one day and decide the next motherfucker has something that you think you can take from him because, his qualities as a man don't meet your approval or standards. So you use that as justification to take what he's got and visit upon that person a wrath that's coming from a deep place inside you. You don't even know and can't even identify yourself. It's senseless.
May I ask, how was it that you got involved with these individuals?
Yeah, man. It was just luck, man. uh, um, a close homeboy of mine, that big Ronnie, right? He introduced me to this political life. He seen something in me, the spirit burning deep inside me, man. He's seen it. Somebody that can't be moved, can't be told what to do, can't, he's seen something that he has burning in himself. And that's how it happens, man. A lot of people will give you this big, way out, elaborate get down about how they get chosen for this or that. And maybe very few do, but really it's chance, it's luck, it's who you land next to, it's how good your rap is, what kind of person you are. But in our case, this person knew me and seen how I interacted, seen how I conducted myself, my business, and that's how because I was non-political on my first couple terms. I just, it was through friendship, love, loyalty that I was introduced to this, not for want of any kind of political standing. You understand? It was this. This was based on love between two homeboys, right? One homeboy wanting to do something solid for the next, right? That's how I was introduced to that. And I shined. For 14 years, 9 months, I shined. I learned from the best to be the best. And it was only through my mind cracking that it ended. There's a lot of people that would...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
...recreate my story out of jealousy or whatever, but it's really just that simple. I did what I did and I did it good. And that introduced me to this whole other world, man. But I had my own style doing everything, man. I was level-headed. I learned really fast that you can real motherfuckers gain a lot easier by making them love you and be loyal to you.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Rather than be afraid of you, right? Because governing through fear, when you govern through fear, people are afraid of you. The first chance they get, they're going to turn right over on you. But people that love you, they're going to protect you, give you everything they got if they can, do anything you ask them to do. And I was good. I'd have them drinking the Kool-Aid, right? But I would have to see something in somebody. I just didn't allow myself to just be, I wasn't approachable to everybody, right? I'd have to see something in you.
Can you call back?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Were you made in the state or in the feds?
I was made by a council member from the feds, but here in California, right? Right in the jail. And we had some elaborate plan that was supposed to take place on the streets. We were going to build a crew of homeboys that, they were made into brothers that could possibly, if they went to jail, they wouldn't be slammed immediately. None of that worked out. None of it worked out. It was a good try, though, but none of it worked out.
Did you ever face any type of backlash or anything of that sort due to you being a federal faction member opposed to a state member when you reached the state prisons?
No. I wasn't a federal faction member, okay? So the brothers that told me, they were, all right? But, no. There needed to be a little clarity regarding membership, but that wasn't any sort of backlash on me. The questioning would have been directed at the brothers that did it, right? Hey, did you dot all the I's and cross all the T's in relation to this dude? And if possible, can we just get everybody's okay on this? And yeah, no, I didn't face backlash at all. It was lickety split. Yeah, I mean, but if somebody were to question, like say, for instance, I'm responsible for the dudes that I pull, right? So if there's a question regarding them, that question will be posed to me and not to them. I'm responsible, right? And usually these things that seem like they're big take place over a 2-minute conversation out on the door, or a code message or whatever. But no, it wasn't a real big deal. No, because it was legit. The dude ended up having a complete okay with the brothers that he needed to have him for, and everything was good. Yeah.
From my understanding, you've had a close relationship with an individual by the name of Billy Sylvester. Is that true?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about him?
I can tell you he's a really good dude, man. And he pretty much owed his membership to me, because initially when he got put up, man, and his name circulated, it was sort of being pushed aside because of the two brothers that suggested him and weren't there to in person sort of explain their desire to get this dude pulled, right? And there were a couple of brothers going down that way, and I pulled them up and said, "Hey, man, take a look at this dude. This is the full package. He's smart. He's vicious, and it's not somebody that we should just leave behind, right? Just because maybe this didn't take place in a manner that was just simple, right? Or the dude that was there initially suggesting his membership wasn't the right person, right? But I helped to create and facilitate. I helped create the path that got him made. Yeah.
What is it like seeing someone become a an average criminal and becoming one of the most vicious, one of the most notorious gang members in this California prison system?
It was, see, man, at the time I had a false belief, man, about what this is, right? And I really struggled with it when I left, right? I struggled with it, right? Because I never backed away from anything in my life, right? I hit everything head on, and I really struggled with it, right? And seeing a brother get his rock, man, was like the best birthday party in the world. He felt like $1,000,000, like he had made it, right? And you're happy for him, this sort of initiate into the bonds of brotherhood, like which he would never experience again, right? This is love, this togetherness, right? You feel it. And when we were all together, right, outside of the presence of drugs, right, everybody just, it was a bond, there was a lot of bickering, and, we worked together, right? And it was a good thing, right?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But when I seen this last little indictment they were on, man, when I read some of them transcripts and phone calls that they were recorded, these behind the back plotting and scheming on people that you call brother, which just, I knew that I had made the right choice, man, because like this whole thing is a lie. this whole thing's alive, man. It's like, for you to look me in my eye and call me brother, and then behind my back, looking for people to feel the same way you do so you can knock me off out of some sort of jealousy or posturing or whatever it was it just blew me away. And the dudes that were doing it, and there's no doubting it, phone calls with public record, it's just unbelievable, right? That dudes of this caliber that can sink to this sort of womanly, quasi gossiping, tar and feathering of brothers behind their back. It's just, and today I believe I made the right choice because it's an illusion. And whether or not they know it, if you're in front of somebody who is constantly talking about somebody else, you better know he's talking about you too. Because that's his character, right? And that's not what we're supposed to be about. We don't do that. We don't use words and shit talking and fucking dragging people through the mud as a means in a way to get at somebody. That's wrong. It's foul. And we're supposed to be the top of the fucking line. We're supposed to be the top of the line, and essentially that sort of degenerate behavior is just how does a person that does something like that then look at another dude and say he's wrong about anything?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
If you're my brother, I ain't never going to impugn your character. I'm never going to say something behind your back. I'm not going to disparage you or anybody associated with you in any way unless I bring it to you in a private conversation, one that is not divulged to outsiders, and find a way to sort of reconcile whatever conflict created a situation like that. Right? I don't know if any of this is helping to answer any questions you
Absolutely, it
might
is.
have. Right?
Absolutely, it is. You're doing a
I
fantastic
try
job,
to
man.
be accurate in everything I say. I don't seek and disparage people. I just don't do that. If I don't know something, I don't speak on it, right? Because that's womanly, and I'm just not going to be that.
What can you tell me about Ronald Yandel, Renegade? You said that you were brushing shoulders with him. What was he like, man? What was his mindset like? What was his character like? Did he have this charmness to him, like you said, that he was able to make people do whatever he wanted? What did you know about him, man?
Man, he's a very good dude, man, and he's a very good friend of mine. And I've loved him as much as I've ever loved anybody in my life, man. And like, I felt like there was a kindred spirit there, man. And me and that dude spent just years together, right? And we built this bond, right? And he's a good dude, man. I don't know about charm, right? He's pretty much straight across, right? Yeah, he's charismatic in that, people sort of seeing these guys as if and he's good to people, right? And that attracts people. But you start to learn that that there's very you start to learn Cause he and I, like, as close as we got, we would argue over this and that every once in a while, right? And he had a person. Now he's seen things the way he's seen them, right? And there was really no convincing him otherwise if he made a decision. And sometimes we would just agree to disagree because I had the same sort of personality, right? Just sort of a sociopathic self-centeredness, right? That just there wasn't a lot of room for anybody else's sort of input once his mind was made up. But a good dude in our relationship, right? Again, I don't impugn people or really shit talk them. So if I say, yeah, he's a pretty good dude, right? That's all things inclusive, right? You know, he's not gonna walk on water, right? He makes mistakes. He bleeds and sweats just like any other motherfucker, right? But he has a way of sort of pulling you in, pulling youngsters in, you know, like he ain't just your, like, dude, for his age, you don't really see him as an old man or whatever, right? You know, he has a way of pulling people in, and we sort of shared that, you know.
While in your position of power, are there decisions that you have made in the past that does not sit well with you to this very day? Something that you might reflect on and you're disappointed in your actions?
Absolutely, 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 man. Um, Let me be careful what I say here. So anything where I have, or to this day, having, you know, yes, anything that I have, any decision I made where I trusted the word of somebody else and made it happen because they asked me as a personal favor. Hey,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
yes, I feel bad about a lot of stuff. Yes, I do.
Have people picked up life sentences because of your orders?
Um, that's a pretty good possibility.
Are you able to call back, sir?
Yes, I am.
Please.
I'll call you right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you seen a another brother politic on another brother and have him whacked or even removed or taken out and have it be completely over some nonsense?
Okay. No, because I wouldn't have been okay in that. When we were all together. You got to remember, we were all together for years without, outsiders, and there were conflicts, right? But I wouldn't have been a party to one brother politicking against another brother. I wouldn't have listened to it. I wouldn't have. I would have said, brother, I don't really agree with this man, and I'm going to step off, right? I have a hard time with looking someone in the eye and like lying to them about the bonds of brotherhood that we share, right? That's just something that I wouldn't have been a part of you. I wouldn't have listened to it, right? And I would have attempted to stop it, right? But see, brothers find brothers that are like-minded that way, and you always got them. You always got them, man. There's always somebody who's tricking, man, looking at somebody else and what they're doing and disparaging their character for or whatever, right? But I was sound in mind enough to know that a dude that carries on that way, he's dealing with something inside himself, right? And it is very rarely about the other person. The other person is just a catalyst, man, the method for which it comes out.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
there is plenty of side politicking and all of that stuff going around, but I wouldn't have been party to it. I would have felt like that was beneath me. You know, especially when you got brothers that politic against brothers that have been around for a long time. Like, man, that's the worst thing you can do. If this dude's been a member and held his membership for 40 some odd years and you fucking have the unmitigated gall to attempt to disparage his brother's character, man, in some sort of self-serving fashion, I wouldn't have been a party to that. I wouldn't have listened to it. And I'm still like that to this day. I'm not going to listen to somebody else and talking greasy about somebody else. I won't do it. 9 times out of 10, I might even take what you said directly to the dude and say, hey, man, just so you know, this is what this motherfucker's doing. But it does happen. Yes, it does.
Have you seen someone lose their shamrock? And if so, why?
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Yeah, I have. And sometimes it's ridiculous. Sometimes, man, I remember when Zach got kicked to the curb, right? And it began as a conflict between him and another brother arguing, just bullshit, shit talking. And it started off with this brother telling me, hey, man, if we see each other, you know what's up, man, but just forget my name. Don't get at me no more. And that right there, from a charismatic brother, led other people to stop talking to the dude. And the next thing you know, he feels isolated. He's out. He took off, right? You know, it happens, right? And it ain't fair, right? But nobody, you're in the company of killers and robbers, right? You can't honestly convince yourself that this is going to be just always fair, right? It's a cutthroat trip, man, and you got to be on it, you know? But if you carry yourself right and you stay out of little bit shit like that, you're fine. You know, you're fine.
So I take a look at some of these transcripts, and I'm kind of taken back, man, that some of these guys making so much money that they were able to buy houses for their wives, houses for their kids, houses for their mother-in-laws and whatnot. Damn, man, are people really making that much money behind bars?
They can, right? You know, they can. And that's just sort of like, you know, sometimes there's times in the history of the fucking shit where dudes weren't doing it like that, right? And then there's times where you get dudes that were very good at their craft. Some dudes are good at killing, and that's what they do, right? Some dudes are good at making weapons and recruiting, and that's what they do. And every once in a while, you get these brothers that are just good at making money, right? And that's what they do. But again, remember what I told you when we started this. If you govern through fear, the dudes underneath you they'll jump ship on you so fast and so easy, right? Because they have no true bond to you. They're just afraid they're going to cooperate. But if you build your crew and instill a sense of identity, purpose, loyalty, love, acceptance, fairness, and generosity, that's where you get loyalty. When the people love you, they protect you. When they're afraid of you, they don't. Who wants to sit around somebody that they're afraid of, right? Who wants to do that? I don't. But we all want to sit around somebody that we love, right? Man, this is the best guy ever. He's the best thing since sliced bread. right? That's how it works. Yes, man. People have made some money, right? They have. But you got to remember, man, our thing, we ain't no syndicate, mafia, mob. We're a white protection racket in prison. That's what we do. It's I say ours like I'm a part of it, man. And I'm not no more. But it's their stamp that allows dudes to hone their craft on a yard. It's their stamp that gets them paid when people owe them money. It's their stamp that gets their territory on a yard held and respected, right? Some dudes they bring that money making ability with them. And yeah, there's been a few people that have made some money.
Who are some of the smartest dudes that you have come across?
Dude, I've come across, well, there's one brother, man, that I just idolized, and that was Blinky, right? Me and him got close. He was as smart as they come. He's sharp as a tack, man. Almost every brother that I've been around is smart. Todd, he's pretty smart, man. And I need you to hold, you know, like, they kept us pretty much where we were at on the years that, like, you know, almost all the brothers are pretty, you know, they know what they're doing, man. You ain't gonna just be no fucking dummy, right? Ronnie's smart, right? Billy's smart. But each one of them has their own way about them, you know, their own way. And, but you know what's crazy is all of it's nullified the minute you inject drugs into it. The minute you put drugs into it, see all them fucking phone calls they got transcribed probably in front of you? Yeah, that's what happens when you inject drugs into that. That's what happens. Yeah.
Is drugs a big thing within this organization?
It can be. Yeah. I mean, to me, the worst thing that you can do to whites in prison is inject that population with speed. The minute you do that, it's just all over. You know, like, man, it just is. People don't act the same no more. They make stupid decisions. And, you know, they allow people to get next to them that normally they wouldn't. You name it. Right? Because it gives you this sense of invincibility, this idea that you can't be wrong. Right? And that's just drugs talking, man. That's what it does. Yes, drugs are a problem. Thank you, sir.
What is your perspective on Donald Mazza Popeye?
I love him. Man. Just what I mean. Look, man. When we were together, man, we talk every day, and we just really got to know each other, man. And I say this without ever really needing to know. I say this without ever needing to know where our friendship stands in his eyes to this day. I loved him, man, and I would have took him back to play anywhere. Right. You know, I thought he was a pretty decent dude myself, right? But, you know, that doesn't mean that he can't make mistakes or poor decisions or whatever, right? But I liked who I liked, and he's a person that I got close to, man. We'd be out there on the yard every day, punk rocking and You know, singing our little punk rap song. We had these commonalities, and I really dug the dude, man, and I dug the way he looked at shit. You know, he didn't have this necessity to just pump his chest up, man. He knew who he was, and he was comfortable with that. I got nothing but good to say about him.
Has there ever been a situation where a Brotherhood member, perhaps from another state, Texas, Maryland, or Georgia, from another state, that actually arrived to this California prison system that you might have known? And what was that experience like?
Yeah, there's one dude, John. He's from Texas. I can't remember his last name. And matter of fact, I seen him, and I was told to ask him, "Hey, man, I don't know if they knew him or what, but they were like inviting me, and hey, if you want to be a part of this right here, we're willing to accept that, but you have to drop the Texas and just represent the brand in general, right?" And he didn't want to. He was finding how he's doing stuff, and their structure may be a little bit different. And he was doing.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And I told him, I go, hey, look, man, but as long as you're here, man, and that's what you're representing, and we're okay with that. But you just have the power of any other average white guy. You're not going to have this status unless you're with us, right? And he was basically done at that point, right? He wasn't interested.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay.
What are some of the reasons that you have seen brothers deem basically any member on the general population no good? What are some of the reasons that you have seen some of these people removed or perhaps even killed?
Some of them are legitimate. Like, if your actions endanger other woods, or if you just, you got some funky shit on you, or you're out there doing shit that could possibly endanger other people, man, or you step out of line and not recognize where you're at and who this system belongs to, those are all reasons they can get you got. And legitimately, right? If who's out there and their actions are conducive to violence being visited upon everybody, then removing that cancer from the system that functions correctly is prudent and wise. But there's also posturing, and there's this sort of pseudo politicking that goes on in the woodpile where if someone is close to me and he wants to knock out some other wood but doesn't have the guts or the power to do it, what he'll do is sort of pencil whip him, talk shit about him, sort of tell you all kinds of things wrong with the dude and this, that, and the other, and he will create a scenario that would make it look like if this guy ain't knocked off, it's gonna cost everybody an arm and a leg, right? In those cases, man, sometimes just that alone allows for a dude to get knocked up. You got to be aware of that, man, because that's the thing, man. Low-level motherfuckers, that's what they do. They fight with words and shit-talking and bullshit, and they politic against each other. And they try to get you and your authority to have this dude knocked out because they ingratiate themselves to you. That's the type of stuff you have to be aware of, right? I was pretty good at recognizing that. Again, I won't sit there and listen to someone just talk about somebody else, right? And I was quick to say, if you want to handle it, you want that, handle it. I'm telling you, you can handle it. But you ain't going to do all this talking and get me to focus on this dude and have somebody else do the dirty shit that you're bringing up. You handle it. That's how I would do it, And it could be anything from, shit he did on the streets to owing debts, shit talking, disrespecting another group or a brother's authority, or just being a no good scoundrel in every sense of the word, right? Lying, cheating, stealing, you know what I'm saying?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We lie to everybody else as a rule of thumb, but not to each other. I need to know that I can believe what you're telling me, right? Yeah, because you can cost somebody else their life, right?
May I ask why you decided to leave? Why you are no longer apart?
Man, I think this is something that it does tickle me too. Everybody's got a version. You know what it was, Tony? I lost my mind. I was dope and attacked people for no reason. And I went into this fucking drug-induced psychosis that lasted a long time. That's why. Not such a shiny story, is it?
How did you know that you were no longer in good standing? Were there any attempts on you? I mean, were you removed actually?
No. Nope. No. Man, I went through my whole career, Tony. 30-something years on the active side, and I never once had anybody talk greasy about me. I mean, when I got to this side now, I bet there's no end to the shit talking. And that's just the way of it, right? Because they have to tear down your legacy, right? Because, even in a situation like a brother leaving, there are still pockets of loyalty to that dude, right? So they have to create a scenario where there's no chance of that loyalty remaining. They have to wipe you clean from the history books, right? And you got to understand that going in. But, the reality of it is, I don't even care no more, right? I really don't. There's nobody that can say nothing bad about me. I wasn't a funky motherfucker. So, that's just the way it is. I wasn't the nicest guy, and I would bring down wrath upon a motherfucker real quick, right? But I was a fairly decent dude, man. I put in all my own work, man. I didn't have to have somebody else do the things that I did that got me noticed. I did it. And I live with it now. Yeah.
Do you have any last message? And I would like to have you on for a part two. There are so many more questions that I would like to ask you. Do you have?
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have any last message, man, for anybody out there who's on this path, who's looking to become someone in this prison culture? What would you tell them, sir?
Stop. Look at what's around you. Look at it. Right? Look at it. Use your head. If you got something you need to do, you do it. You don't need to be governed by anybody else. But if you feel like you got what it takes, if you feel like that, don't half step. Like this life is not for everybody, man. Now I'm gonna tell you something. This is my message. When we leave this world, and we stand there in front of God and our sins are laid bare in front of us, you cannot call on anybody else to take that for you. You got to take it. Don't ever do nothing you need to be ashamed of. And I'm telling you right now, if you see people around you plotting on other people, understand this. They can and will plot on you too. The minute you attempt to think for yourself, that's what's going to happen.
I want to go ahead and say thank you, man. Thank you once again for allowing me to be able to share, part of your story. I hope probably next time we can get into more depth about your upbringing and your case. But with that being
Yeah.
said, man, sincerely thank you. It was such an honor.